Hey, good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Uncensored Therapy. I am Lorenzo. Down below me is the lovely Jean Marie. And our third counterpart has not made it in from work yet. This is a conversation with friends. We talk about things like life and how they relate to mental health and our mental health as we go through life. At any point in time, if you ever feel like you need therapy, we're not your therapist. This is not therapy. However, conversations can be therapeutic. And that is why we do this. Just a space for us to talk. And even for you all who have been sitting with us these past few weeks, if you feel like you want to share, ask questions, or even give your perspective, we invite you to do all of that. And even if it's not agreeing to what any of us say, because we don't always agree, we want all the smoke. So again, welcome to Uncensored Therapy. Our topic tonight is impulse control, risking it all. And you know, what does that look like, and what it is we do in situations that causes us to possibly be impulsive. Because if you're a human being and you have a heartbeat, it has happened to you or it will happen to you. And I think we have a really, really good talking point. Let me say this. We write out our topics months at a time. So right now we have topics throughout the month of April. And Sunday night, while watching the Oscars, as I think, well, I know I was watching. Most people probably caught on once they saw it on Twitter. And I was sitting there. Oh, you wasn't even watching?
No.
Yeah, I was sitting there watching the Oscars. It was pretty boring. The most exciting thing, honestly, was Beyonce opening the Oscars. And, you know, you got Chris Rock doing what he does best. And he made a joke about Miss Jada Pinkett Smith's look. And before you know it, Mr. Smith, one of my favorite actors, walked on stage and smacked the piss out of Chris Rock. And if y'all saw Chris Rock's face, I'm sure we all saw it. Chris Rock was shook. I actually felt bad for him.
I think, I don't know if you agree with me. I think, okay, what I was thinking when I watched the video, right? I was like, maybe he didn't automatically react or know what was going to happen, was because it might have been a situation where he thought he was going to come up there, kind of pull him to the side, maybe say something in his ear, and then walk back to his seat. You know what I mean? Because you see people do that at different award shows if they have something to say, you know, but they don't want to make a big scene. So I think that's probably what he was expecting, but that wasn't what he got.
It definitely wasn't what he got.
No warning. No warning. But you got to wonder, like, maybe he warned him before, you know, not to say anything about his wife. Because this wasn't the first time.
It wasn't. But and though we haven't even gotten to the conversation about, you know, background as far as Will Smith. But just looking from the outside in, celebrities and award shows, it goes hand in hand when it comes to the host and the audience. And this is just generally speaking, you know what I'm saying? I mean, especially you sit on the front row, and I'm not excusing Chris Rock, you know what I'm saying? You sit on the front row, I mean, it's kind of, you may be the butt of the joke. I know I went to the Wild 'N Out tour, my homeboy sat on the floor, you know, they got him. You know, it's just kind of, it comes with the territory, especially as a celebrity. But, and this is not even a conversation whether Will was right or wrong. I have my personal opinion. But I think it's more so what kind of caused it. And I saw so many things online, you know. One of the things was he was protecting his wife. The other part of that was he was protecting the black woman. And somebody said, you know, he was tired of being humiliated. And so all those, I think, are good points. For me personally, Will is justified in feeling that way.
Yeah.
You felt like you wanted to smack the piss. Like, I've been there. I've wanted to not just smack the piss off somebody, but beat the piss off somebody. Like, seriously, you know what I'm saying? I always feel like some people need it. And, you know, some people don't get it till they get it sometimes. So it's like, yeah, you don't really get it until you feel me. You ain't gonna feel me till you feel me. And so what I look at, or what I begin to think about, I don't know if anybody read Will Smith's memoir. He had a book, and his book talked about a lot of his childhood, right? And a part of that childhood was him feeling inferior and not being able to protect his mom, who was verbally, mentally, and physically abused. And so, in my mind, that carries on throughout his adulthood and even more so into his marriage, which takes the topic even deeper.
Yeah,
So,
you know, but I don't want people to say Will Smith has lost his mind. There's something wrong with him. You know,
nah.
I don't want people, because some people have been saying that, like, oh yeah, he's crazy. There's something wrong with him. You know, she's really making him lose it. You know what I mean? And I don't like that.
He lost control. I do feel Jada plays a part in that. He lost control in that moment. I don't think he's lost his mind. Nah, Will is a very intelligent man, but he lost control in his mind, and emotionally and mentally, he's broken. That's just from my perspective. And it's not anything that he doesn't know. He talks about it in his book, but I don't think from my perspective, he realizes how broken he is and how it's affecting him. And what I mean by that is when you take and look at his childhood and what he talked about as it pertains to his mom, and you look at his everything he's had going on in his marriage, right?
Right.
Jada, and I'm saying all this to kind of tie it into where Will is in the moment. Jada never wanted to be married, right? And you got to think about it like this. When I saw Will go up on that stage and smack Chris Rock, I felt like he could have handled it a different way. However, when you love somebody and you want someone's approval, sometimes you are willing to do anything to feel that love and receive that approval from them. We talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs last week, and in the middle tier of those 5 levels was love and acceptance. And I feel like a part of that with Will is that love and acceptance from his wife. And I say that because, and this is just all me looking, an outsider looking in. I say that because we know Jada had a very good friendship with Tupac. And the way Jada talks about Tupac, I can't recall ever hearing Jada talk about Will like that. And then when we bring it up to that entanglement, Will sat there on Red Table Talk. You saw that Will was emotionally distraught. That's the worst I ever saw him looking. And Jada was still just her beautiful self, just talking and handling it.
I mean, I get it, because if you've been married before and you've been in a situation where your marriage it just feels like it's not working. You are emotionally distraught because you do have such deep love for that person, and you also want them to be happy, but sometimes the things that they're asking you for or the things that they want, you're not always willing to give them. So I don't know if they made a compromise where he's like, okay, this is what she wants, and I'm going to give that to her. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't still hurt me, you know? So, I mean, it's a different situation with them. But in every marriage, you have those moments where things don't work. If you're not crying about it, if you're not emotional, then you don't care enough, you know? So I got it. I really got it. It didn't take a whole lot of explaining or background for me to get that at all.
It's facts, you know, and watching the Oscars, initially, you know, Will was laughing at the joke. But when that camera put it on Jada and you saw Jada's disgust, everything changed for Will. You know what I'm saying? And I think in that moment, it was like, she not feeling this. So I need to take her for my wife. I need to be that man she wants me to be. Not saying in particular, but i.e. the way she thinks about Tupac and the way she spoke about August Alsina. You know what I'm saying? And when you think of that impulse, love, and that feeling of wanting to be accepted by his wife and want to be, in my assumption, to be seen a certain way by his wife, he moved. It is inexcusable. I feel like he could have chose another way to react. But when we're talking about impulse and emotions, things like that happen. Like my family found out years later about the amount of fights I had. I was that impulsive person. So while I don't agree with the way Will handled it, I do understand it, but I don't agree with it.
You know, it's putting comedians in a situation where they have a certain kind of fear. Because once one person does something, and if they're offended by something that somebody says, I feel like other people like to jump on that bandwagon. Now they're in a space where, you know, I can't say certain things because I have to fear that somebody's going to attack me. And I just don't think that that's okay. He's created that dynamic, and that's just it's not okay.
And in that moment, I don't even think he was concerned with what he was risking. He was more or less concerned with his wife, the person he loves. Like that is what that is what was more important to him. Huh?
You sure it wasn't an ego thing? He didn't want to be perceived as weak, not a protector.
It's not that I'm sure this is my perspective, and I kind of said that it's as far as him wanting to be the man. From my perspective, his wife wants him to be, based on his childhood experience, based on his marriage and the things he's went through. And now he's trying to be this man, this idea of a man that his wife wants him to be. That's my assumption, you know, based on everything they've put out there to us about their marriage, and even the things he's put in his book about himself.
I think from my perspective, it was just like, it might have been a lot of pressure building up. It's a big night, you know, it's a lot of pressure at the Oscars. He's always deserved an Oscar. He has given so many Oscar-worthy performances, you know, and this was something that he really cared about. In their marriage, we don't even know what's going on right now because we haven't really heard anything from them in a long time. And this alopecia thing with her, it might be something that he has seen her struggle with. You don't know, you know, her struggle with alopecia because they're putting on this facade. They're putting on this mask with the media and stuff. And sometimes it's too much pressure. It was too much pressure. She was hurt. And he was trying to protect her. That's my opinion. Now, was it wrong? Yes. Like I said, it's wrong because of where they were. It's wrong because he did attack a man. And it's wrong because he's a representative of, whether he likes it or not, or whether we like it or not, African Americans as a whole. You know, so it just makes all of us look bad.
I disagree about the part where it said that he was a representation of the Black community. And I always disagree with anything. Like, you can't put that much pressure on people I have that issue when I interact with, you know, my opposite counterparts. I am not the representation of all Black people. He's a representation of himself. That's the something I disagree for. And I also want to say that she publicly discussed her struggles with alopecia. She talked about it. I just think Chris Rock didn't do his homework.
Well, so how much homework you supposed to do because I didn't know about it, how much homework are you supposed to do with other people in Hollywood and their looks?
Well,
it was just, okay, whether or not he knew about it or not, it was a joke. Celebrities tell jokes like that all the time. They used to talk about people who had one leg, one arm, people who, you know.
But and it's called PC culture. In this PC culture, you should do your homework. I think alopecia and Black women, period, in their hair is so important, right? So I think I feel like that was wrong. I have family members with alopecia, and I feel like if somebody would say that shit about my cousins, I would have fucking slapped a motherfucker too. Like,
so hold on, I'm gonna come back to that. Miss Melissa 813 said he definitely could have chose a different way, but it's his job as a husband to protect his wife. The only difference is they are famous and it's getting a lot of attention. My opinion. Here's the thing about that. And unpin. Thank you, Miss Melissa. Here's the thing about that.
Mrs.
Melissa. Here's the thing about that. What exactly, because we're talking about our community in this phrase, what exactly is meant by protecting his wife or protect the Black woman? What are we talking about?
Protect the Black woman is not necessarily just physical. Protect a Black woman is like, don't put her through that shit, that manipulation, that narcissistic behavior. That's protecting them. It's all of the above. I feel like when you see white women tears, you just run. Oh, she's crying. That means something. So get, black women don't get that. We don't get that luxury to just cry.
That's true. Hold on, I'm bringing up someone.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, Mr. Friday? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys? Great job with the show. I want to tell you guys you're doing a fantastic job with everything.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So I know with the Will Smith thing, a lot of people, it's different sides on how he should have handled it or if he should have done it. But given your topic, I think we should discuss Chris and his reaction, because I feel like that was a really good example of impulse control, because a lot of people would not have handled it that way.
That's a good talking point. Friday was up here saying we had a display of the lack of impulse control and a display of impulse control. Because let's be 100, how many of us are about to let somebody hit us? That's the first thing.
Zero. You can't even hit me at work, and I'm a healthcare provider.
It ain't happening. So while we may not agree with Chris Rock did, we may not agree with Will Smith did, that really shows the opposite ends of impulse control and the lack thereof. Because at the end of the day, the show topic is impulse control, risking it all. And I believe Chris was thinking about more than just avenging himself. In my mind, I don't want to say he's scary or whatever, but I think he was thinking more about what was at stake. Because just think about us. We're adults, right? And while we may want to fight sometimes or want to drag somebody, what we think about it, we often say, I will beat the piss out you, but I ain't trying to lose my job. Or, I got children at home. You have to think differently in situations like that. And when you think of things like that, you begin to think about the consequences for your actions. And I used to talk about that with some of my clients, logical consequences. And Will was not thinking about the logical consequences. Will was thinking about his wife, which is not a bad thing. Like Miss Melissa said, he was protecting his wife, as we should. But there are ways we can protect our wives or your husband or your children that does not result in something that could possibly cause you to lose everything, or that could possibly cause you to be taken away from your children or whatever. You have to think about things like that. You know what I'm saying? Because again.
So what do you think, how do you get to that point? How do you what's a technique you would say you can use to have better impulse control, to get to the point where Chris Rock is, to be assaulted live on national television and be able to still be professional?
First and foremost, one of the things I just said was you have to think about the logical consequences of your actions. At the end of the day, if you don't consider what can possibly follow after I do what I'm thinking about doing, you always going to end up losing. You always going to end up in the short end of the stick, especially for the regular folk, for us. You know what I'm saying? Will is a celebrity. So at the end of the day, if Will doesn't get another acting job, I believe Will and Jada set for the rest of their life. However, we have to think about the fact that, if I beat the piss out my coworker, if I go and knock my manager out for talking to me stupid, if I go, cuss out my supervisor, we have to think about the consequences that are going to follow our actions. And yes, everybody freezing. Oh, there you go. And yes, we don't want to be disrespected. I know I definitely don't like to be disrespected. But I think one of the greatest things we can do is think about the consequences that follow our actions. However, there are individuals who suffer from trauma, and some of their impulsive reactions are trauma responses. Mm-hmm. And so I believe for Will, I believe that was a traumatic response in relation to everything he has experienced as a child with his mother and feeling inferior because he could not protect her, and as well as his wife trying to be the stand-up man that I think she wants him to be in comparison to other men she has talked to him about. You know what I'm saying? So you from that perspective. And so if it's that deep, I feel like an individual definitely needs to seek out therapy. And so I read online today that Will is now seeking out therapy for this. So that's good. So what that's going to help him do, it's whether it's CBT or even psychodynamic. That's what I would think. Shout out to James. I saw him in here. I believe that type of work needs to be done with Will. He's already aware of past events that could be affecting his life and life choices now. So we take all that, combine it with some CBT, which is his behavior, and try to help him change his thinking and how to move forward when he's in a space like that. And again, you can protect your wife, we can protect Black women, but it doesn't have to be in that manner. You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking a man for nobody for protecting anyone in your family, but there are multiple ways to protect those that we love so that we aren't possibly losing a job, ending up in jail. Listen, just last September.
Hold on, Pastor. Bunny is trying to actually get back in here.
I didn't even see that. Tell her my bad.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, I had to.
Look, we rolling. She trying. That's why I didn't want to call on the phone last week.
Girl, talking my motherfucking ear off. I'm listening.
Why would Chris Rock apologize? You know, I see Chris Rock's apologize. If he apologizes, okay. If he doesn't, then okay, because Dave Chappelle don't never apologize for any of his jokes, and no matter who they offend. So I wouldn't see him apologizing for the joke.
And here's the other part to that. The reason why Will needs all that help and work, you gonna go around smacking everybody? That's just
he smacked people before. He smacked that white guy who tried to kiss him on the mouth. He smacked him.
Well, no, that was facts. He needed to because he was sexually assaulted. That's different. He came in his personal space.
That was
sexual
assault.
Why does sexual talk make you so uncomfortable?
It was a Hispanic.
You don't want to label it incorrectly.
Look at your cheeks; they getting all red and stuff. It's just so.
I don't want to label it incorrectly. Listen, Danny L 1970 said because of Chris Rock's behavior after the slap, all of his comedy shows have sold out. He had impulse control for real, and that's a fact. That is a fact. Having impulse control, while I can see he was. Thank you, Danny. While I can see that he was embarrassed, and probably like he felt like his manhood was slapped out of him. To have that level of impulse control, to have that level of control and stand in the moment and keep the show going, I commend that. You know what I'm saying? And again, here's the thing. I am not a Chris Rock fan. I never really have been of his work. I just haven't been. However,
I've been rocking with him since the 90s.
Will Smith.
Love him.
Will Smith is my dude. Like, that is one of my favorite actors. And so it was just like, bruh, but the work is needed. I mean, I remember telling y'all last September, I lost a friend, and it was behind some foolishness. I was ready to fight. Like I'm telling you, I'm 37 years old, and what happened to me warranted me going to his home and beating the piss out of him. That's what I felt. That's what was warranted.
You pulled up at somebody's house, though? I want to know that, Zoe. Where'd he go? You pulled up at his house?
Him, but he got to think. And so it took a friend to talk to me and be like, all right, cool. Because you're gonna go out there, you're gonna fight him. But if you show up at his house, you're on his property, right? You're trespassing. He can come out with a weapon and defend himself, or he could call the police. And I wasn't even thinking about all that. All I was thinking about was like, yo, you disrespect me to the highest, so you need to be dealt with. And like I said, we get in those spaces, sometimes people know your triggers, and even when they know your triggers, we still have to think, all right, should I handle it this way or that way? We have to think logically, and it's not always easy, especially in the moment. What's going on, Alex? How you doing, man?
I'm cool, man. How y'all making out? I hope everybody is well. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. You see, we talking about Will, Chris. What about after the fact as well? There was so many people that witnessed it, and nobody lifted a finger. any unwanted physical contact, that's really actually, you know, it don't even have to be groping or whatever, anything like that. That's sexual assault. But he actually got assaulted, and he should have been escorted out. The academy, nobody didn't do nothing, and then he was able to accept his Oscar and give that little crying speech, and you know, this is for this person and the Williams family and stuff. I understand all that stuff, but all that was tainted, you know what I'm saying, by your actions because of your lack of impulse control. This is what separates us from animals. You know what I'm saying? Besides our opposable thumbs, our um, our our ability to be rational and reasoning, and like you were saying, thinking about the consequences, even in a moment, because I'm sure y'all have been in a place where you have been heated and you wanted to do something, but you did not, because you are rational and because you considered what would happen after. Because no matter what, nobody forced Will to do what he did. Jada had some persuasion, probably, you know what I'm saying? But he was not forced. Even if he would have had a gun to his head, he still didn't have to go up and do that. Nobody forced him to do that. That was his choice. When you choose to do something, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it depends on what, buddy.
Huh, buddy?
It depends on where you at in your journey. I have some issues with anger. I have been in the car and having road rage, try to push somebody out their car. I have flattened my son's babysitter's tires because I thought that bitch was on some hoe shit. It depends where you at. Now, asking about this Ashley right now, I wouldn't do that, but it depends on where you are in your journey and your development, I feel like. Sometimes you
For
don't
sure,
got
because
no
I mean,
rational brain.
So it's excusable
myself,
if your journey.
I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
react right away. Like you said, okay, of course we've been in the same situation. I didn't react right away. And I think I've always really been good about saving my reactions till later because I'm petty. So, you know, I see how you disrespected me, but you gonna eat that later. I'm gonna eat it now. But you gonna feel me later on. And you gonna remember this moment right here.
And it's not excusable, but we do have to consider some people's responses are based on trauma. Again, you know what I'm saying? And I do not agree with what Will did, but thinking in my mind, I have to also consider, you know, what he has shared with the world in his book, what he's experienced with his mom, feeling inferior
Right.
of not being able to protect her, and also what he has went through with his wife. You basically you've been put on a lower level than these other men that she talks about, Tupac, August, you know. And so now it's like I have to prove myself. I couldn't do it when I was a kid. I haven't been able to do it in my marriage. So I thought the joke was funny, but my wife didn't like it. So I need to be the man she want me to be. So I'm gonna go smack this nigga. You know, and it's irrational. It's not logical, but that's from my perspective, thinking of all of those layers.
Thank you,
So
Alex.
I don't know if y'all know about brain mapping. So it's a technique that people use when, like, say you went through trauma and they take like I'm gonna say like a CAT scan of your brain, and it shows like where your development level is, and that how you handle trauma, like how you handle trauma, how you gonna futurely handle trauma. And if he had trauma as a teen or a child, that's gonna mess up his development of a particular section in his brain, so he's going to react in that manner. And it's called, I don't remember learning about brain mapping in school, but I learned about this shit at work because I got a particular kid who lacks impulse control, and she got a score of 2, and it should be fucking 60, and she has a score of 2. So of course he's gonna react. And I mean, if we don't talk, I really feel like this shit should be used in like jails when like I think felons who like committed a crime, they should do a scan of their brain and understand why they reacted that manner. That's my
I just wanted to add one more point, and then I'm done. Um, but by you being a public figure, you know what I'm saying? Um, when you're a public figure, it's like you um, you forfeit some of, you know what I'm saying, some of um, the privacies that you had, you know, when you're not in a public figure, when you're not a household name and stuff like that. And the thing, also, Chris Rock's joke, it wasn't even malicious.
why
You
you
know what
think
I'm
that
saying?
wasn't
G.I.
malicious?
Jane,
Who gets
he
to make
said
that
G.I.
decision? Who gets to
Jane
make that?
Part 2.
Who gets to make that
How
decision?
wasn't
You're
that
saying it's
malicious?
not malicious, but it felt that way. You can't control how people
Oh,
work.
okay. Uh,
And
true.
this is his
All
second
right.
time. This is his second time attacking Jada Pickett.
So since he made a joke, he's attacking her
No,
because he said some words that is attack.
So
you
hold
said
up.
it wasn't malicious, but who can
Right.
decide whether or not it's malicious? It's a joke, yes, but it was in bad taste, and it was malicious because of how somebody received it.
So Trakisha,
Oh,
actually, to your point, she said it may have been a trigger because his wife has a condition that causes hair loss. You never know what people are going through behind closed doors, but definitely should have controlled his emotions in that moment. And so I get what you're saying, Alex, and I also see where you're coming from too, Gene, because how he received it. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Not even so much how he received it, how Jada received it. We can't leave Jada out. How Jada received it, because Will seemingly received it as a joke, but Jada didn't. And so when he saw that, knowing what his wife is going through, knowing how he feels about his wife, knowing all of his other trauma in his own life, all of that causes the reaction we saw. Not excusable, but we have to try, well, a person like me has to try and understand it from that perspective, because when he goes to sit in front of his therapist, the therapist is not going to demonize him for his actions. She's going to help him understand his actions, whether that's going back to his past or if it's something that's current. And what she's going to do is say, now, how do we move forward so we don't come back here? So I know I'm not demonizing Will, because I'm taking all that into perspective. I don't agree with it. He should have chosen another route. However, we still got to look at it from that mental health perspective, and we have to be honest, because Will is, in my opinion, mentally and emotionally broken. Thank you, Trakisha.
I mean, but it was just a slap. I feel like he could have definitely two-pieced his ass.
Wait, here is another good comment. Ashley said they also share way too much about their marriage, in my opinion. And that is very true, because what that does, it you already have. So Alex made a good point. He said, as a celebrity, you kind of lose that privacy. You kind of lose that
Sorry, go
privacy.
ahead.
Now, you're good. As a celebrity, you kind of lose that privacy, but they put it all out there, and you almost make yourself a target. And them being celebrities, and when you go to an event, with you putting everything out there, people may make you the butt of the joke. Is it right? No, it's not right. It's not right. However, we have to get to a space as humans to learn how to deal with life, regardless of how that looks, so that we don't end up losing control.
What are
Yeah,
some good techniques?
I agree. I agree with that. I mean, like, it's basically like I'm sorry, now I can't even think of his name. Who came up here and talked about Chris Rock?
Alex.
Yes.
Alex.
No, not Alex.
Not,
No. I have nothing to say about what Alex said. I'm talking about the other brother, the
She's so irritating.
the first one.
who we had at first? I forgot already.
I know,
Who's the
right?
light-skinned
And I love that
guy?
guy.
The light-skinned
I
guy
can't
with
think
the
his name for nothing.
glasses. Your best friend.
Yeah, he was talking about Chris Rock, right?
Friday.
He was talking about
Yeah,
Chris
Friday.
Rock, right?
Yeah.
He was talking about Chris Rock. And he was talking about the fact that he showed impulse control where Will did not.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we got to look at it like two sides of that, two sides of that situation, how things could go, how things should go when you're put in a
What would be some
situation like that.
techniques that you would use to help with distress tolerance or frustration tolerance? I think DBT really talks well about frustration tolerance, how not to react.
What was that last part of it?
How not to react. What part did you hear?
I heard stress tolerance.
I said, what are some techniques that you would use in a situation like this? If this was a client and they wanted to come in for distress tolerance or frustration tolerance, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you use? And I mentioned DBT, like focus on distress tolerance and being mindful.
So what techniques as a therapist, or what would I try to help them build as a technique for themselves?
Yeah, all of the above, Daddy. All of the
above. So I would try to help them do more of thought stopping to try and help, those thoughts that may cause that level of stress, how to change your thoughts in the moment and take yourself to another space. And besides that, also, and it may sound cliche, I guess, counting to 10 and then talking out things to yourself is also helpful. That's just a
deep
personal
breathing.
thing. Huh?
Deep breathing.
Yeah, you gonna let me finish?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Daddy. You drawn out. Go ahead. Keep it moving.
But nah, counting to 10 and even talking things out to yourself. And for real though, think about it. Y'all remember when Shanae used to talk to herself on Martin? She'd think it out and then she'd come back and be like, okay, I think people may look at that as crazy. I think that can be healthy. Be like, now I know this is about to stress me out and I know I'm going to react in this kind of way. So let me just kind of talk it out. Hear yourself. Hear what you need to say. And of course, yes, deep breathing. Like for real, take them breaths. Bring yourself back down the best you can. Like in all seriousness.
So
take yourself away from the situation.
So I don't remember Shanae doing that. Can you show us what she was doing on the show?
I'm not about to play with you, man.
I mean, I don't remember.
I ain't about to play with you. Hold up. C. Will Fly said, not just privacy, but people have a tendency to believe that celebrities should behave in a way that does not allow them to make mistakes. Thank you, C. Will Fly. And that's facts, and that adds pressure to them as well. That adds pressure and stress to them. So it's like, I have to act this way, and I have to be this way, and I have to be robotic. And at the end of the day, celebrities are still humans as well. And we have to try to understand that too, because they are definitely still humans. Y'all, if I don't get all the comments, I'm trying to get them, y'all. We appreciate these comments. Jean, you were saying something.
No, I was just saying same thing that Melissa's saying, stepping away from the situation until you're mentally able to handle it. Another way he could have handled it was him and Jada could have stepped out for a moment, collected themselves, and then came back. And that would have sent a message to Chris Rock as well. If they had walked away, because they're sitting up front. If they had walked away from him at that moment, that would have also sent a message to him that it wasn't okay and that they weren't okay with it.
And I even said Will could have waited till he got his award and been like, Chris, my wife may be in a sequel for G.I. Jane, but we waiting for your movie to come out that's gonna win you an Oscar. And then give your speech. Just kind of, just something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. He could have definitely done that.
So let me ask this question, and this is either to either one of you ladies or anybody that's in the audience. Row 216, we have to give folks the same understanding in Slack that we ask for as regular people. That's facts. That's facts. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that. C. Willie said they also talk about how Jada did not protect nor stop her husband from doing what he did. That's facts.
Shannon Sharp talked about this, and I was so pissed at him that he said that, because I felt that was really petty of him and immature to sit up there and say that he shouldn't be protecting Jada because of the comments that she made on Red Table Talk about the entanglement. That tit for tat has no place in a marriage. You can't do stuff like that. And I just didn't agree with that when he said that. Shannon Sharp said the same thing.
I don't agree with that aspect either, because if they're going to stay in the marriage, they should protect each other. So I felt like in that moment, Jada could have, baby, it's all good, sit down, because I think it would have been helpful. But again, Jada was pleased with his actions. This is my personal opinion. She was pleased because after that, when P. Diddy came up with the joke, they all was up there laughing like it's all good. Jada was pleased with his actions. And again, that is Will, I believe, feeding into wanting to be the man his wife wants him to be, which is cool, but
why do we assume that's what he wants to do?
That's my assumption.
But can we take into account in black culture, if a nigga disrespect your wife, you gotta step up or you gonna look like a sucker? What if it had nothing to do with Jada? It's just him not wanting to be perceived as a sucker again in the black community, because that's
toxic masculinity. Facts.
But I hate that. I feel like men are just throwing Jada Pinkett under the fucking bus. Maybe he just didn't want to look soft.
It's not throwing her under the bus, but if we consider, like I just said, if we consider for real, me as a man, if I was married, if I've heard my wife over the years talk about a dude that is deceased, that she used to be friends with or whatever they were, and talk about him as well as she does, and then I gotta sit across from her, although we had an open marriage or whatever, and she talked about how she needed healing, and that healing came from another dude, a younger dude, and how she was broken, and seemingly it helped mend her back together. You have stripped me of parts of my ego and my masculinity. Not even ego, more so my masculinity. You understand? Just me being a man and being your husband.
Are we negating the fact that he said he fucked so many bitches that come and disgusted him?
He did. But this situation, as they explained it,
and then she can't fuck. I'm confused.
No. This situation, as they explained it, was different. Yes, they had an open marriage, but the way that happened, that was a friend of the family that was supposed to be getting helping and healing. And so they were a family together, helping and healing this young man. So you have to.
I feel like there's a double standard. I think there's a double standard.
It's not a double standard because they were, but I'm quite sure they probably had some. I agree with you, Ashley. She said Will seems emotionally unstable. I said that earlier. His statement about love will make you do crazy things was concerning and highlights a larger issue, and that's facts. I said that earlier because he loved his wife. And he's trying to be, in my opinion, the man she wants. He will do some crazy things that, as we've seen, and that is all, in my opinion, based on what they've given us. That's all based on that childhood trauma, what he's gone through in his marriage with his wife, and it's causing him, in my opinion, again, I got to keep saying it because it's not facts, but from what I've seen, it's causing him to react and act the way he's causing him to do the things he's doing.
Right. All those pressures from his own trauma, from his wife's trauma, from the pressure of the situation, where he is in his career, it exploded out of him in a way that was unhealthy. And the fact that he's getting therapy is what you should do.
Facts.
And we also have to think about the stage he is in his life. He's a 50-year-old black man.
So this was the question. Because I can't remember who I think it was Alex, but no, was it Alex? I don't know. Somebody said that we can't control how we react. So can we control our response and our reaction? Anybody?
Of course.
Of course we can.
We're not children.
Right. We're not, animals acting on our baser instinct.
But again, go ahead.
Go ahead. You said what? That was it.
No, go ahead.
No, I don't even remember what the hell I was about to say. Go ahead.
But I was saying, remember, wherever you experience trauma, that's how your emotionally capability is stuck in whatever you experience trauma. We got to have some type of understanding. Again, half the time, I feel like when somebody's being a child, or I feel like being childish or petty, I don't look at them as, like this nigga is wilding right now. I look at it like maybe he or she experienced something and in their life would put them in this particular predicament and how they can handle it. The job I work at, just because a parent want to call me a bitch, motherfucking nigga, I'm gonna just sit there. I'm gonna be looking like I'm not gonna react.
At the job that I work at with traumatic brain injuries, one of the things that's usually I'll say about 80% is the loss of impulse control. People will see, oh my God, there's a tube in my arm. Let me pull it out. It's not supposed to be there. And it's a port, it's an IV. It's something that's helping them, but they can't rationalize that at the time. And it takes weeks and months of therapy for them to start to get that back. And one of the main jobs that I do is basically redirecting people when they're in those moments. Like, I'm going to pull this tube out of my arm, this out of my neck, out of my nose, out of my stomach, because I don't know what's going on and I can't rationalize what's happening right now. And I'm just going to yank it just without even thinking about it. So I'm just like, hey, you know what? Let's think about what we're doing, because that's going to hurt you. And even if you pull that out, they're going to have to put it back in. It's going to be very painful. It's okay. You're getting better. It won't always be like this. You're okay. You're in a safe place. So you don't need to do stuff like that. So I think that it showed that mentally there's something going on with Will Smith. And once he gets that therapy and works through it, he'll be better for it. So that can happen in situations, life building up, that can happen with traumatic brain injuries, but it's very common when you're having a mental crisis to lose impulse control.
Sewell Fly says, this also means a person must take time to get to know themselves, to know how they will respond to any given situation. And you may not know how you respond to a situation. Thank you, Sewell Fly, but it definitely takes time. And that time, as you just said, Gene, as we've said throughout this podcast, as other people have said, that's going to come through you going seek some help. You know what I'm saying? Because at some point you have to realize you can't always react like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need to figure out why you're reacting like that, you definitely need to seek some help. Row 216 said, when it comes down to it, Will and Chris have known each other for nearly 30 years. Will might be wrong overall, but in that moment he was justified. Why? Because we all fall short to stress and not. I disagree with the part of he was justified for his, and I'm assuming you're saying he was justified for his action. We do fall short and we do make mistakes, but because we make a mistake and fall short does not mean our actions are justified based on what we've been through or the fact that we are human. We can make mistakes and we can be forgiven for our mistakes, but it still doesn't mean that the mistake was justified.
No, that's called social acceptability. When a lot of people be like, okay, this is normal behavior, or this is what you should do, so it's right, but that's not really how things work.
Yeah, because if it's almost a contradiction, and I'm knocking you, Road 216. We appreciate your comment, but when we say he's wrong overall, but in the moment he was justified, that's kind of saying you're wrong for this, but you're right for it at the same time. Now, it's either he should have hit him or he should have hit him, and in my opinion, again, protect the ones you love at all costs, but be mindful of how you protect them, think about what's going to follow. But again, Road 216, we appreciate your comments, man.
Where was the outrage when Solange beat up Jay-Z? Because I think everybody was siding with Solange. Do we not remember that?
She was wrong. I mean, I don't want to say she was right or wrong, but she was wrong. But then again, here's the thing. We have more context of Will and Chris's situation. We just saw a elevator camera with no sound. And although, again, she still was wrong, but she went in. Yes, Willie, she did go in. She really did.
That was pretty crazy. I hope she definitely got some therapy about that. Have you ever seen them together since that fact? I wonder. Have anybody seen them after that? I don't think they've ever been in the same room together since that incident.
Now that you mention it, I don't think so. I don't remember. That's interesting. So
Coachella,
so,
she was on Coachella.
but I'm talking. No, she talking about her and Jay-Z.
So yeah,
He was there too.
But they probably wasn't around each other. So, ladies, what's the takeaway?
Bunny.
Her phone trying to
I'm sorry,
decide
y'all
if she
know
gonna let her
I'm
participate.
It went out. So what was asked? I'm sorry.
So what's the takeaway? What's the moral of the story?
Don't join the podcast late as fuck.
Oh man.
That was really
Listen.
that was not what we was talking about at all. Okay. I'll go.
I lack impulse control, so shit, y'all asked the wrong person. The fuck? I lack that shit. Go ahead, Will. I smack a bitch too. Shit.
Yeah.
Gee, what's the takeaway, baby?
Whatever you're going through in your life, whatever pressures you're feeling, don't let it get to that point. Don't let it get to the point where you lose control of your impulses and do something reckless, and that's really all you can take away from this situation, is to not let the mental pressures in your life build to the point where you can really destroy yourself.
Miss Melissa said
people need to
watch their mouth.
That's
no. Wait, let me say this. Now we about to end, but that's a fact. And we can't make people watch what they say, but people really do need to watch their mouth. People really need to be mindful of what they say, because at the end of the day, everything we have talked about. But no, Miss Melissa, you're joking, but that's a fact. At the end of the day, we cannot control the way no one reacts or responds, whether we think it's right or wrong. So that's facts. People do need to watch their mouth. One of the promo videos we had, y'all, I don't know if y'all saw it. It was the white lady telling the Spanish lady all these racial slurs, and that Spanish lady smacked the piss out of her. And I'm gonna be honest, and I know it. Y'all probably gonna be like, Lorenzo, you contradicting yourself. I'm glad she smacked the piss out of her. Like you can't walk around here. Listen, it's like, bro, you really can't walk around here saying what you want to people, because not everyone has impulse control. Some people don't have nothing to lose. Like, some people really don't have nothing to lose. Like, and they will straight up fight and probably even take you out. Like these kids down here in New Orleans, and I'm quite sure in many other cities, but they're acting a fool. Impulsive, just rage, you know what I'm saying? But stop and think. Always stop and think, before you react. Try to stop and think about the consequences that could possibly follow your actions. And then at the end of the day, if you're thinking about smacking somebody or getting physical with somebody, think about if you about to be the person that's going to lose the fight too. Because I remember one time, one of my friends told me, she literally said, Lorenzo, one day somebody going to F you up. You think you can beat everybody up. And in my mind, I do. But she said somebody gonna really show you one day, and I was like, nah. I think I only lost one fight in my life. But you gotta think before.
Was it against a woman?
I don't fight. I'm gonna get you. Anyway, look, you really try to think before you react, y'all, and think about the logical consequences. Emotional intelligence is a great thing to have, having impulse control. And if you lack these things, and if you've experienced, having traumatic responses, see a therapist. It does not hurt to see a therapist. They will help you figure out what's going on. Why you smacking everybody that tell you ugly? So see your therapist. I was ready to say, Row 216 going in on these comments. But see a therapist, stop and think about the logical consequences, count to 10, breathe. And I know that may sound, man, who's gonna count to 10? Count to 10, talk it out in your head, talk it out to yourself. You know?
I mean, self-care, take care of yourself, because this is probably the straw that broke the camel's back. Don't let it get to that point. When you feel like these pressures are building up, do something about it. Get ahead of it. You know, don't let it get to that point. Examine why you're angry. Is it this surface problem? Is it something deeper? I think that goes a long way to self-actualization. And Ro, I'm glad that you thought about how your actions can affect your child. And that's very important to do. And that shows me that you do have some emotional intelligence and impulse control.
Facts. Miss Melissa 813, she's been coming with the comments, and I like this. She said impulse control and pride seems like it goes hand in hand, and that's facts. Because especially in men, black men, I'm not about to be made to be no pussy. You know what I'm saying? We have that complex, like you know, and sometimes our pride gets in the way. That's facts.
I don't think it's just men. I think it's black women as well.
Well, I'm speaking, you know, as a man. You know.
Right. So speak as a woman, Bunny. What you trying to say?
Oh, I'm a man. My bad. Just for the other women, if they want to, I am a gentleman. Period.
Well, we want to thank you all for joining us tonight.
Wait. You know what
we hear you, we see you. Huh?
What we didn't touch on is like how media portray that shit too in general. Love and hip hop, you say some fucked up shit, they fight. All reality TV, you say something against me, I fight. And how we internalize that shit.
That's facts. That's facts. There was something I wanted to say, y'all.
Let's acknowledge the background. This nigga got a whole background, got a little haircut, put a button down on it.
Well, I ain't got no haircut.
Baby, you got lined up. It's tapered. The fuck?
How come all your shirts is buttoned up to the top? You got like a hairy chest or something, or like body image? Because that's real tight. It's like, no,
I like this look on certain shirts. I like this look on certain shirts. So I button the shirt up. See, if I didn't have impulse control, I'd cuss both y'all heifers out. But see, I have impulse control.
Who's that?
JD, this nigga done called me a heifer.
Yeah, come smack me, JD.
Protect me.
Come protect your black woman. Sitting up here looking like the Phoenix from X-Men.
Okay, yes, Jean Grey coming through.
That's
baby.
it.
Coming through. Insult me for real, baby. You gotta cut deeper than me, because that ain't gonna do it. I take that as a compliment.
That's facts. Yo, y'all, listen. I can't remember what I wanted. There was something else I wanted to say.
I think you said enough.
That's how you feel, G? That's how you feel?
Close out the church.
All heads bowed, all eyes closed. Father God, we thank you for these two heifers that we just did the show with. And for all of the people in the audience, we appreciate everybody for being here and these two heifers. God bless us to grow and continue to have fun. In your son's name we pray. Everybody say amen.
Amen.
Peace and love. We appreciate y'all.
Amen.
Oh, man. Thank y'all.